Hello students, welcome to yet another video where we'll be learning about Microsoft Access 2013. So uh, today's topic is chapter number 2 from class 8 book of computer science, and name of the chapter is Learn to Use Microsoft Access 2013. All of us know Access is database management software, which is a part of Microsoft Office package. So here I'll be using 2013 version of Microsoft Access. So let's get started. All of us know that a computer is an electronic machine or a device that processes data to give information, and people use computer to process data. Now we need to understand what exactly is data. So data means raw facts or figures. It can be anything in the form of numbers or words, images, sounds, or even the combination of all of this. When this data is processed for some meaning, it becomes information. That means when a computer inserts any kind of data in the form of numbers or words or text or images, then it is considered as data. But when it becomes meaningful, means when it is processed and it becomes something which is useful, then it becomes information. Then it can be considered as information. So all the organization, be it a school or a shop or any kind of business, then they maintain data of its employees. If it is a school, then it maintains the data of the students, etc., etc. For example, you can see a school can maintain the data of the students' attendance or marks or fees, reports, or his or her assignments. Then these data, what is maintained by the school, has to be maintained in such a way that it's readily available and can be accessed in the desired format. You can see the maintenance of the data done by the organization. For example, if it is shop will have the data which has got the information about its employees or the items that is in the shop, etc., etc. Now, when a particular organization maintains the data when any organization maintains the data in a very, very meaningful manner in a related tables, can be called as a database. That means database is basically a collection of data which is stored in related table. The data in the database always remains in an organized order. That means it has to be in the organized order. Example of the database could be the attendance register of your class, or it could be the data that is stored in our smartphones. That could be a database. So database can be anything which is a big storehouse of the related data. And whenever the data is stored in a database, that has to be stored very, very carefully and permanently, and also for a long period of time. And there might be so many other numerous applications that are linked to them. So we will be learning about Microsoft Access, where we will be doing the maintenance of the database using the software called Microsoft Access. So Microsoft Access, as I've already told you, is a part of Microsoft Office package. Just like we have got the Word or the Excel and PowerPoint, in that Microsoft Office package. Access is also a part of it, and it is called as Database Management System, or in short we call it DBMS. It's a graphical user interface based software, so it is very easy to use even for beginners. Even if you're using Microsoft Access for the first time, obviously you will be using Access for the first time, but it is going to be very easy since it's a GUI, and the overall the screen will be similar to what you have used in Word or the Excel or the PowerPoint. So before going to learning the software Microsoft Access, let us learn some of the advantages of a database. Database helps us to retrieve the data very easily. That means retrieval. That means when we have stored a data in a database, you will get the data back from the database very easily. So that becomes one of the advantages. Another one is the data inconsistency can be reduced. That means the data what we are storing it in a database will always be consistent. Very important. Easy manipulation of data. The data which is stored in the database is very easy to manipulate. That means changing of the data, like editing, deleting, copying, moving, all this data becomes very easy. Next one is reduction of the data redundancy. Data redundancy means repetition of the data. That means sometimes if you are doing the work manually, it is very common that the data can be repeated. Suppose I have entered the data of one person, and later on if I enter the data of that person, this database helps us to reduce that. I mean, it will not allow me to enter the data again, because the data is already there in the database. That means repetition of the data becomes totally reduced. Another one, sharing of the data becomes very easy. Whenever we store a data in a database, that data can be shared very easily among the other users or the other people through the computer itself. And if you are storing the data in a database, that data will be highly secure. That means the data will be very secure. It will be there, and it can be accessed only by the authorized person. So the data which is stored in the database are highly secure. Now there is a term which is basically called as RDBMS. RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. Now RDBMS, or the Relational Database, is actually a collection of data organized in a set of formally described tables. Data can be accessed or reassembled from these tables in different ways without the need to reorganize the database table. That means in case of a relational database, the data is stored in tables. That's why it is called as a relational database. Why it is called a relational database? Because there is a term relation, and relation is also another name for table. So table is basically called as a table, relation. So a relational database stores the data in a set of tables. That means table is the place where all the relational database is stored, and that can be accessed as well as reassembled in different way without the need to reorganize this database table. That means it can be used very easily from the table. And the concept of this relational database was given by a person called as E.F. Codd in a company called IBM. IBM is the short form of International Business Machine in the year 1970. In addition to being relatively easy to create and access, a relational database has an important advantage. It has an important advantage of being very extendable. So after the original database creation, a new data category can be added without modifying all the existing application. For example, I have already created a table, and in that table we have got the fields like the roll number, name, and class. Okay, and I have already inserted hundreds of data in that, and later on I found that I need to add a new category without modifying the existing information that is already stored in the table. That might not be possible in the other kind of RDBMS, but in relational database I can do that very easily without modifying, without changing the existing application, existing data in it. Okay, so relational database is a set of table that contains the data fitted in some predefined categories, and each data is stored in a table, which is also called as a relation, as I've already told you. And data is stored in one or more data categories, and that data categories are called as columns, because every table needs to have the columns and the row. So columns is the category, and row is the place where we see the data being stored for different categories defined by columns. So there are rows and the columns. Okay, and there are so many different RDBMS software available. So many different softwares are there, but out of them, the Access that we are going to study, Microsoft Access, is the most popular software of all. So Microsoft Access is the most common software and the popular software. That's why we are using MS Access here. And other than that, also we have the softwares like Oracle, Fox Pro, SQL Express, and so on. So many are there. So to understand a database, we need to understand different database concepts. Okay, before learning the database, we need to understand database concepts. That means the software that we are going to study, what are the different things that you can do. Okay, so database management or database management software refers to a software that helps us to create, modify, delete, editing, adding, deleting, all these kind of things, all this kind of manipulation of the data is actually very easy in a software called as database management. That means database management only refers to the creating, modifying, deleting, and editing, adding data in files. So DBMS is a software that allows us to perform this function very easily and efficiently. Database is a structured collection of integrated records or data that is stored in the computer system. Is a warehouse of information which is further used for various operation, day-to-day transaction, which is also used in various operation. So when we collect the data on a specific topic such as the attendance register, it is considered as a table. You have seen the attendance register in the school with a lot of rows and columns. That is a database. So table is the basic element of the database. So we need to understand this thing very carefully, that in a database, table is the most important thing, because table is the place where all the data are stored, and tables store the data in rows, which is also called as records, and columns, that is called as fields. To understand the concept of database, we have got the database objects. So database objects are the part of a database. So database basically have got four different objects, and the first object of a database is a table. So database has got four different objects, and the most important object is called as a table. So let us discuss the different objects of a database one by one. Let's start with the table, and this picture, as you can see here, this is how a table in a database looks like. So table in a database is the place where the actual data is stored, and MS Access stores the related entry in its rows. Related entries in a row. So this is a row where all the data is stored, and each row is called as a record. So this row is called as a record, and each type of detail in the record is stored in the column known as fields. So as you can see here, there are fields like first name, last name, street, and the ID. These are the fields, and as you can see, this Tracy Beckham and name of the street, this is the record. So first and the foremost thing, when you are creating a database, you need to create a table. So table is the place where all the data are stored. Second database object is a query. Second database object is a query. Now query is actually the other name that is given for a question. So question is you are going to ask the question to the table. For example, you have got a table which is stored in the database that contains thousands and thousands of records, and out of that you want to extract a particular information from the database, and that particular data that you are going to extract is based on condition. So you'll give a condition, you'll ask the question to a database giving some condition, okay, and you'll get back the answer. Okay, so that particular question which you're going to ask the database can be considered as a query. So query is actually used to extract the information from the database, and the output of the query is a record or a group of records that fulfill a certain condition. Okay, for example, if you have got a student's database, and from that database you want to know the name of the student who stays in let's say Siliguri. Okay, so if you get the record of a student who stays in Siliguri from the student database, that is the work done by the query. And next object is a form. So form is actually fill in the blank kind of sheet which we fill online. So whenever we create any kind of account in the internet, online forms are being used. For example, if you want to create an account in Gmail, then you will get the form where you need to fill up all the data like your name and the address and the phone number, etc., etc. So that kind of place where we generally fill up all the data is called as a form. So form is a place where we fill in all the data that we require, and the data will generally go and stored in the table. That means whatever data we fill up in the form and save it, that data will go and store it in the form. That means form is the input or the interface that is used to input the data to the table. That is the form. And lastly, we have got the report. A report is just the opposite of form. So form is used to input and reports are used to output. So the data that is used, the data that we have got it in the table, if by chance in future you need to print it quickly, okay, and you want it in such a way that it's not like the way it's stored in the table. You want it in a little bit different way. So that can be done with the help of reports. So reports are actually the way to design and print the data that is stored in the table quickly in a very desired manner. So Microsoft Access is the software that we are going to use for doing all this kind of work, whatever we learned about right now, till now, about the tables and the forms and the queries and the reports, that we are going to do with the help of the software called Microsoft Access, which is a very popular RDBMS software, or Relational Database Management System software, and it is a part of Microsoft Office package, which I have already explained it to you. And we also know that Microsoft Access can be used by any individual with having a small scale business within the department of large corporations, even by a person who use this computer as a hobby, and can also be used by the programmers to create huge softwares, customized system for handling and handling a large amount of data, handling or manipulating a large amount of data. And also, I'm repeating, in MS Access the data is arranged in the form of tables, and every specific piece of information that is stored in the table will be called as a value. And value is the data that is stored in the table inside the cell, and that cell is created in the table by the intersection of a column and a row. And let's have a quick look at the screen of Microsoft Access. How does it look? So the window of Microsoft Access looks like this. So this is the basic structure of Microsoft Access window. So here I'm using Microsoft Access 2016, and the components, the first component of Microsoft Access window looks like this, and this is called as a quick access toolbar. So here will be 4 buttons, and that helps us to use the use some of the commonly used options quickly. That's why it's called as a quick access toolbar. Then after that we have got the title bar, and this is the title bar. The whole bar is the title bar, and that gives you the idea of the software that you are using. Also, the name of the database that is in use, that will be shown there in the title bar. Then after that we have got the tabs here. Different tabs are there: file tab, home tab, create, and the database and the table tab. And these are the tabs, and this is the file tab. So when you click on the file tab, the option of the file tab will appear on the screen. Next is the navigation pane. So this is the place from where you can navigate, in between of the objects that you have created. So this is table 1 being shown here. If you have created some more objects, all the objects will be shown here on the screen. And the next component is the tab document. That means if you are opening this table 1, this table 1 will be shown here. If you are opening any other objects here, all those objects will be shown here one by one, and this is the table in which you are going to work. Next one is the ribbon. As you can see, I have told you that if you are clicking on the home, the ribbon of the home tab will be appearing here. If you are going to click on create, the ribbon of the create tab will be appearing here. So these are the ribbons. Next one is the status bar. So status bar basically appears at the bottom of the screen above the taskbar, which will show the status of the document or the database in which you are working. And now let's quickly learn how to start Microsoft Access 2013. So how to use it? So what you need to do is, there are so many different ways to open Microsoft Access. So I'm going to teach you the easiest one. Okay, so just click on Start, and here in this list try to find Microsoft Access. So basically this access will be there obviously on the top of the screen. So what you're going to do is just go and click on Microsoft Access. So when you open Microsoft Access, the Microsoft Access screen opens for you. So this is the screen from where I can start Microsoft Access. So this is the landing screen, and this is the place from where we have to start. Now just have a quick let's have a quick idea, like in the other softwares, basically Microsoft Word or Excel or PowerPoint, there we used to create the document and later on we used to save it or give the name to the document. But here, when you are creating a database in Microsoft Access, you need to give the name of the database beforehand. So how you're going to do it? So when you're opening Microsoft Access for the first time, so Microsoft Access screen opens for you like this, and there will be a first button here, and that says blank database. Click on this blank database and wait for a while, and after that, as you can see, there will be name of a database that you need to give. There is a name of the database that you need to give. So this is the place where you are going to give the name of the database. So this is the name of the database. Let's say suppose I gave this new data of class 8. So this is the database, the name of the database that I am going to create. So new data of class 8. After that, click on create, and what you'll see is the database is created. So this is the database, and in that database what you have is table 1 is there. By default, a new table will come here as table 1, and you can keep it or you can change it or anything you can do. And this is how your screen looks like. As I've already told you, this is the file menu or the file tab. Okay, then after that, when you go to the home tab, you will see this home tab here, the ribbon of the home tab. Create will have the ribbon of the create tab, and external data, and these are things. So this is how you create the database. And what are the other things that you are going to do in the database, that we are going to learn very soon in our next video. So I'll see you very soon in the next video, where we'll be learning about more topics of Microsoft Access. Okay, so till then, all of you stay safe, and goodbye.